You're watching Go to 11 with Ruben. I'm Alex from the band Anialator from Texas, and we have a new album out on Extreme Music called Death is Calling. Check it out. It's a fucking headbanger.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
This is good stuff. So it's been a bit. I mean, we're trying to get something situated, and between work and all that stuff, I think it's been kind of a gap of time, but it's good to finally catch up. So okay, so you guys have
Definitely, bro, definitely.
Yeah. So you guys have new music. So that's, let's plug that, because you have a new album, Death is Calling, I think is, you got thrash metal. How would you describe the band? And then a little bit about the history of the band, because you guys had established yourselves for a period of time, and then you went away, and then you reformed and all that stuff. So let's start with the record first.
Yeah, Death is Calling. It just came out October 22nd on Extreme Music out of Spain. And it's a 7-song. I guess some people call it a thrash album. Some people call it, thrash death. I don't know. Nowadays, I don't know. Everything has a name added to it, but to me, it's just, thrash metal
right.
And that's why I see it. It just came out, and it's going to be available on all formats like CD, cassette, and vinyl. And we have been on vinyl probably since the Watt days back in the 80s. So this is the last release we did and come out on vinyl. So
yeah,
this one's coming on vinyl.
And so you're on everything. I mean, obviously, streaming platforms as well, I imagine, right? I think your music's available on Amazon Music too, as well.
On Spotify. YouTube Music, Spotify. Yeah. Right. Anything, anything that's streaming site that you can think of, it's on there.
Right. How different is that for you? Because I mean, you're obviously an old schooler, saying, hey, stuff on vinyl, stuff on cassette, that we can relate to. I mean, even the CD, when that format came about, but now everything is streaming as well. How weird is that for you, as far as not having, people don't have the physical stuff. Some people don't.
Yeah. I mean, like me, I had to learn to adapt to it. It has its pros and cons, but to me, it's really helpful because, say, some guy that lives in, Peru or, China or Japan, doesn't have, I guess, like the money to purchase it as a physical form and actually hear what we sound like. The streaming sites actually give people a chance to listen to it. And a lot of people, I mean, us old schoolers like to collect stuff, I got a garage bin full of, I go over probably 500 CDs and,
right.
Albums. I've lugged around from move to move. And unfortunately, I don't have a man cave where I live. So
all right.
Everything just stays in storage. But it's easier to me. It's easier for someone to access our music. Really simple. Who doesn't have a phone nowadays? Who's not online? Who's not? I mean, it's just, you just got to roll with the progression of things. And it like I said, it has its pros and cons. And I mean, to me, I think it's a good thing because it gives us, I guess, a different avenue for people to listen to us.
Right. The younger kids, right? I mean, obviously the old schoolers,
especially the younger kids.
Yeah. What do you think about that? I mean, have you guys had a lot of, younger fans reach out to you guys about your music, and that's got to be pretty cool to be reaching some of the younger kids, huh?
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, the whole reason we regenerated or we, started up this war machine again was because, just around 2013, I started noticing, people were posting like the EPs we had on YouTube, and, the whole EPs on there, you can listen to them on YouTube. And I started noticing on eBay, our EPs were being sold. And I was kind of like, wow, people were telling me I was late to join the Facebook thing, man. I didn't join till I want to say maybe like 2013.
Okay.
So when I did join, I would get, these messages and stuff like, "Hey, man, I'm a fan of you, you guys," or "Hey, I was going through my dad's record collection and I found you guys EP, it's fucking killer and this
Mhm.
and that." So that kind of got the ball rolling for me to get the band together
Yeah.
and just kind of see where it went. I mean, I'm not in it for the money because there is no money on the smaller scale I'm on. I
Right,
just
right,
I just love playing live, and I just love releasing music, and that's my reward. That's my pay.
right.
I could care less about money or how many albums are sold or what. As long as people are paying attention and still have an interest in Annihilator, uh, you know, it, why not?
Right. And how much gigging do you guys do at the present time? I mean, how much do you plan on getting out there as far as promoting the new music, or is it going to be any offers from Europe and festivals across the U.S.? Because I know there's a lot of underground festivals where they feature a lot of underground bands and power metal and whatnot.
Yeah, before COVID came along, we were actually playing maybe like 4 or 5 shows a month, maybe a little more a month. We'd set them up in a row. It'd be like Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, El Paso,
Mhm.
or you know, uh, whatever we could play. That was before COVID. We did a lot of festivals. We did a festival in New York called Rage to Armageddon,
Oh, okay.
and we played out there in New York. We did a spring bash in Milwaukee. That was another festival so we're more catered to playing. I mean, we like playing we'll play anywhere, any kind of gig, but it seems that festivals are the ones we kind of fall into. We just did two here in Texas, and I want to say in August.
Oh,
It was this one. You can see my shirt, Destroying Texas
oh yeah,
Fest.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, Destroying Texas Fest, and that was like a 2-day event here in Houston. And then we played this other festival in San Antonio with Dismember headline, the Whiplash, Nasty Savage,
Oh wow.
Monstrosity, uh, full of Texas bands in there, Militia.
Hmm.
What else was it? Imprecation, just different, all it, different genres
Hmm.
and stuff. And we did that. So that was it. We only did 2 shows this year.
Okay.
I mean, that was just kind of just to wait till the album comes out before we do anything. But to answer
Right.
your question, for next year, well, we're hoping to get to the West Coast.
Oh,
We have
nice.
never been to the West Coast before. Never. And we're trying to uh maybe set something up there where, I mean, I'm always seeing there's festivals in the West Coast. Maybe we could
Hmm.
just slide into a festival and play there, or maybe do 2 shows and then head back.
Right.
Really, I mean, we played, like I said, we played New York in 2000. I think it was, I want to say 17, maybe. I can't even remember, but that was the first time on the East Coast for us.
Mm,
When we back in the 80s, we toured a lot, but we just did kind of like the region, all of Texas, and then we
right.
go into like Louisiana and stuff. But because I mean, I was the oldest one in that band at the time. I was probably like 20, and the rest of the guys were like 16, 18, 17. Nobody had a job, and it was, we didn't have a van to get around.
Hmm.
So money was tight, and we would rent a van and just do what we could, come back. So we couldn't do any long tours, because none of us, I mean, we couldn't afford to,
Right.
we're just working the jobs we had at the time. So
Right. So definitely doing some stuff next year. I mean, it sounds like you're waiting on
yeah,
some opportunities. It'd be great to see you guys on the West Coast. I'm in Oregon, so up northwest, there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
huge metal community in Washington State and Oregon State. Typically people think West
You
Coast,
might,
it's always
I might have to borrow
California.
somebody to promote. I might have to get some info from you, where
Yeah,
you can send me some promoters' names and stuff, and
sure.
you set something up there.
Right. Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. So what you're saying then, what really fired the band back up, or you got the band back up and running, was just because you had kind of started hearing some of the kids saying, "Hey, I found some of my relatives, my dad, or older brothers' music, and I'm really into it, and it kind of got things going for you again, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
mean, they just there's one case. You've
mhm.
heard of the band Hellwitch, right?
Yes.
Well, we played with them in San Antonio. I think it was like 2016 or 17, and the drummer approached me, real young kid. His name is Brian,
Okay.
and he was like, "Hey, man, nice to meet you," and this and that. We have been communicating on Facebook back and forth. Just
Mhm.
hey, I can't wait till the show happens. We're gonna, I want to finally get to meet you and this and that. We met in person, and he comes up to me, tells me, "Hey, man," he pulls out a picture disc that we had because we released a picture disc.
Right.
Pulls out a picture disc, and he's all like, "Hey, I was wondering if you could sign this for my dad." And I was like,
Nice.
"Yeah, I mean, that it's kind of weird, when a younger kid approaches and tells me like, yeah, well, I was going through my dad's record collection and I found y'all's, LP, I mean EP, or
Mhm.
I discovered y'all through YouTube,
Right.
or wherever the case may be." But it's like, I mean, like metal. I mean, kids got to start somewhere. When I was
Right.
young, it was like I started off with, because I'm old, but it started off with AM radio, which I didn't have any interest in. It was just on, and then
Right.
later on, when I was like just getting ready to go in junior high, my brother-in-law was a Marine, and shout
Mm.
out to all the veterans today.
Oh,
That
yeah, that's right.
you know that's I got to give them their shout out to that. But he came with a box of records at the time. I got into it, Led Zeppelin, Stig, stuff like that. It just kind of evolved. So
Mhm.
as a kid, you got to start somewhere. So it's great that this younger generation is actually going back to where like thrash metal started, back to like older bands. They're Metallica is like never ending. Kids are
Right.
always discovering Metallica from TV shows or whatever, and
Mhm.
then you get the gatekeepers that get mad, like, oh, I don't know if you can cuss on here. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
oh yeah, I probably should ask that in the beginning. But you
Oh,
get
no, that's
the
fine.
gatekeepers that the elitists that get mad, like they don't know anything about Metallica, but it's like, yeah, but just because they found out about Master of Puppets, and
Mhm.
that's going to generate their interest, and then from there they're interested. They're going to find the Exodus. They're going to go back and look and find Testament,
Yeah.
Overkill, and just and that's how you keep metal alive. You know what I
Right.
mean? That,
And
that's
you
how
were
you
just
keep it
talking
rolling.
you were talking about YouTube a minute ago. I mean, that's almost going back to the whole, remember when, and you probably remember because we're probably close in age and stuff. But when somebody would get the new Metallica, right, and then they'd rip a copy for a friend, right, and just discovering, sharing the music. Although, yeah, I mean, it doesn't make
In
the
our
bands
time,
any
well, in my
money.
time it was tape trading.
Yep,
In my time, it was like
exactly.
tape trading. It was cassettes. I'd get a cassette from Sweden, or
Right.
from Colombia, and who's this? And then I had friends that lived in lower part of Texas, which is like McAllen, the valley, kind of
Mhm.
towards near Mexico. I had friends that you know would come up and hang out. We'd drink beer, and they'd bring all these cassettes because they were heavily into trading with Central American people. So I would,
Mhm.
I heard Sepultura before they even
Oh,
like
yeah.
got signed to anything on demos, and Slayer, and then you had like Pentagram from Chile, and just
Mhm.
different things that I was exposed to. Nowadays, it's just it's the same way. You go down a rabbit hole if you look for something, and once that album, if you're listening to an album or song finishes, another song will kick in from a different band that's on the same genre, and you're like, oh
Mhm.
shit, who's this?
Right.
It's just how you do it.
Now, have you I mean, I'm sure early on, because I think you guys go about the same time period. I mean, obviously you guys are based out of I guess you're based out of like originally Corpus Christi, right? I think that's where you formed the
Yeah,
band.
that
And then you have the
yeah,
ca-
we're
yeah, go ahead.
no. I was gonna say, yeah, we're out of Corpus.
So then, about the same time, there's this Canadian band, Annihilator, right? Then you have you guys,
Ooh.
them. So did it ever cross your mind? It's like, how do we work this? And has there ever been any confusion? I mean, you guys both. Well, you guys are more of the old school versus, some of the stuff that he's done over time. He's just kind of evolved from hard rock to thrash to, but tell me about that. I mean, did you ever consider kind of, you know, renaming the band as a result of the similarities in the pronunciation? Obviously different bands.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a story. This is what happened. It's 1985.
Hmm.
Or 86. I just finished leaving a band from Texas, Corpus Christi, named Devastation, which went out to get signed to Combat and stuff. I played bass
Right.
for them for like a year and a half or something.
Okay.
So what happened is I wanted to form a band of my own. I was like, oh, okay. I learned a lot from the singer Rodney Dunsmore and how to, to do stuff that I said, you know what, I think I can do that, but start my own band.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about 86, 85, 86. There's no Google search. There's no internet. There's no cell phones. There's no Gmail, email, whatever the hell, right? It's just, you don't know. And, there was 2 Devastations at one time. One in Chicago, one in Corpus Christi. There was 2 Slayers at one time. One from San Antonio, Texas, and the other one from, San Francisco or California, where they originated from.
Right.
So I didn't know there was an Anialator because living so far down south in Corpus Christi, we were late to find out about a lot of things, where the bigger cities like Dallas and San Antonio, Houston were always the first to find out about music. And it kind of trickled down to Corpus. We're like the last, but make a long story short, I did not know there was another band called Anialator till we released our first EP. And then I started getting zines that people were sending me, black and white, copy and paste magazines and stuff. And I would open it up and I was like, oh shit, and I figured, oh, well, at the time we're both unsigned and it's spelled different. And I don't see it being a problem at that time. Like I said, this was like 1986 and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we got like 87, 88, they got scooped up to Roadrunner or Road Racer at the time.
Right.
And I mean, it was, well, you can't really compete with that. It's like we're on a small, tiny label out of California. And here they are in a big label,
Right.
And that's why that was one of the reasons we went from 85, 86 to 1990. And then I put the band on hiatus, was because I knew for a fact that if we wanted to go any further, or I wanted to pursue my career or, any further than just being in an underground label, I would have to start a new band up. See, and in 1990, I started another band called Sufferance, which everybody thinks that Sufferance, Anialator changed their name to Sufferance, which wasn't the case. It was like Anialator, I'll put it on hold and come back to it later. I may not come back to it later. I'll just put it on hiatus. So I started this band Sufferance because, like I said, I already knew at the time nobody's going to sign. I mean, they're in a huge label already. They're touring with Judas Priest and, Pantera. And they're just, there are videos on MTV and all kinds of stuff. So it was like, okay, time to, me personally switch gears and try something else than trying to keep on going. Now, coming back, it's funny because I see people commenting on, like, when we put up stuff on YouTube or anywhere, like, oh, that's funny. Don't these people know that there's already another Anialator? And it's like, some people are going there and try to educate them. Well, yeah, they both started off at the same time, 86, 85, 86, this and that. And well, yeah, now all we need is like Slayer with 3 L's and, Metallica with, 7 A's or whatever the hell it is, or, just to make it different. But luckily I was a bad speller and I spelt it wrong. So my version and their version is just totally different. But I have nothing but respect for Jeff Waters and Anialator. They're like 15 albums in. He's like a phenomenal guitar player. And in all honesty, I don't even think we're on their radar, dude. We're like, I would say we're a little old band from Texas, but ZZ Top uses that expression.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I have to say we're a tiny little band. Yeah, we're a
tiny
tiny
little
little band
bit.
from Texas.
Right.
You know, we're never gonna go. Annihilator was meant to be underground, and that's where I'm flying, where I'm at. You know, below the
Right.
surface. You know, and I have no expectations to rise up to their level. Just doing this, I just enjoy doing what just doing it like that. So that's the story on that. Like I said,
Yeah.
I chose the name. There was no Google. I didn't know there was another band till way later when I started getting magazines like, oh shit, they
Yeah.
spelled it the right way, and luckily I
Right.
spelled it the wrong way because I probably was a shitty speller. But
Right. Which do you prefer? The other Annihilator. Which record is better? Alice in Hell or Never Neverland out of the two? Because that's kind of I mean, that's the old school Annihilator Jeff Waters albums.
I like Alice in Hell.
Yeah. Same here.
I thought that was cool, but their demo was like totally different from somebody had their demo, where it was. One of my friends had their demo, and the vocals were more like harsher than it was where they were more operatic, I guess, operatic, or how do you say?
Yeah. Right.
They had that more opera style kind of high pitched vocals, that I listen, that high pitched stuff like that. So it was a big difference from the demo to that, but I prefer Alice in Hell.
Yeah. Well, good segue, because one of the things is you rattled off some of these bands, and I think it's a good opportunity to just kind of get your take on which of these bands you prefer and why. So if you had head to head with Metallica and Megadeth, who do you prefer and why out of the two bands?
I was a big fan of Metallica in the beginning. I just thought that their writing and their riffs and how they incorporate speeds and there was changes in their music that I thought it was like the shit. And that they were kind of they had their fast moments and stuff like that. So I was a fan of the first 3 Metallica albums, which was Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets. I stopped after that. I couldn't get into Injustice and I stopped, but I did like Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. That the first Megadeth one that they released on Combat, I think it was. And I did dig that one. That one was pretty cool. And I got to see them when they toured for that.
Oh wow.
It was Megadeth and Exciter. So I got to see them on that tour for Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. But I kind of blew them off because I really didn't. I guess I was just too headset in Metallica. Everything was Metallica. As I got older, I started going to Megadeth concerts, and I started noticing, like, God damn, the fucking Dave Mustaine is a badass motherfucker.
Right.
I mean, he's playing shit. He's just not ripping. He's playing shit where he's actually moving and singing at the same time. And I'm like, whoa, man, that dude, like Hetfield just riffs and sings, and it's just like, fretboard movement. Dave Mustaine's all over, and they're playing. His music's a lot more technical than Metallica. So I grown to like, and I have to say I would go with Megadeth now. Maybe I just got burnt out on Metallica or something, but
What about toss up between Exodus and Slayer? Which would you take? Who would you take?
I would have to go with Slayer.
Right.
Slayer would be one of my favorite, probably the favorite band from, well, and then again too, it's weird because I go from Show No Mercy all the way up to probably Seasons in the Abyss, and then I stopped listening to them. And then I would, like, every once in a while, like, just to, I guess, out of habit, when CDs were still around, I'd go and buy, like, Divine Intervention, or I'd go and buy God Hates Us All, or same way with Metallica, like, maybe this one. I stopped listening to them, like I said, after Master of Puppets, and for some reason, I don't know why, I jumped back in when it was what was that one where like the snare sounded like a damn garbage can? Saint Anger.
Oh yeah, San Anger. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I jumped from Saint Anger, and then I started. I would buy some of their stuff here and there and here and there, but I'd have to go with
Slayer, huh?
That's it.
What about Death Angel
Yeah, I mean,
versus Death Angel Testament?
none of them.
Neither. You wouldn't prefer either.
No, well, I have to say, I thought Testament was all right. They had, I mean, it wasn't my cup of tea. Just wasn't my cup of tea.
Right.
Death Angel, I thought like Ultra Violence was like too long. The songs were too long, and it was just I don't know. I just something about it where I just couldn't get into it. But if I have to choose, I guess I could say Death Angel now because they're older. I mean, they're newer albums. I guess like Call for Blood and all that other, all those albums in between or whatever. I listened to them, so I thought they were pretty cool. I like those. I like that era of Death Angel. I didn't like the earlier Death Angel. Same way with Testament. I mean, they're great musicians and everything. A couple of songs here and there, I could take, but I didn't. I wasn't
not really your thing. What about
like Forbidden 2, like bands like Forbidden 2. I couldn't. I know they were great guitar players and stuff, but I couldn't get into Forbidden.
Yeah, and then what about like Dark Angel? You into them?
Oh hell yeah,
yeah. See, I
We Shall
figured.
Arrive. Yeah, We Shall Arrive. Darkness Descends. After that too, those were like two of my favorite, and then it kind of got, when they switched singers, it kind of got to me, it just got a little different.
Overkill versus Anthrax.
I would probably have to go with Anthrax.
Yeah. Is there a
Anthrax was
you talking
I guess the
Belladonna area? The Joey Belladonna era, or do you like the earlier stuff? Because you're into like early stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the earlier stuff. Well, I mean, before Belladonna, before Joey, they had
Neil Turbin.
Who was that, a Fistful of Metal? I mean, is it Fistful of Metal?
Yeah, it was a Neil Turbin one. Yeah.
I mean, I like that. Fistful of Metal, then Among the Living, and I probably go like three. I would go 3 releases from Anthrax, and then I kind of lost track of them. But I kind of like the John Bush era too.
Yeah, there's some good stuff there.
Yeah.
Wow. You Armored Saint fan?
I saw them open up for Metallica.
85.
Yeah, Ride the Lightning Tour.
Yeah, it was Ride Lightning. Same here. I was just talking to
Ride
somebody about that.
They has the guitarist was still alive. Dave Pritchard, I think his name was, or something.
Yeah.
He ended up dying. I guess I don't know what he died of, but he was still in the band.
I think he had cancer. Yeah.
I think they were touring for March of the Saints. I don't hold me to that because I'm old, man. My memory's not all that great. So
I said it was March of the Saint. What a show.
Oh,
so here's what I got for you. I got like a couple more questions. The next one would be, you played quite a few gigs. I'm sure this is going to be for We Go to 11. So it's got a Spinal Tap kind of connection to it, right? I mean, sure, you're familiar with Spinal Tap. You're an old school guy like me, right? So you probably watched the movie, way back when. I didn't get to watch the first run. I saw it on video when I think it was probably beta. It's that old. But have you ever have you had a Spinal Tap moment that you'd like to share on stage? Like, do you have anything happen, a mishap on stage that you could go, wow, that stands out. Maybe I can share that.
I'm trying to think of all the things I've done. I can't really say. I mean, there was one, but it's not. I don't know. It's not really a Spinal Tap moment. It's more like I don't know what you would call it, but I remember playing, and I can't even remember. This was '80s, somewhere in the '80s, that we were playing live, and somebody got up on the stage to take a stage dive, and I turned around with my bass, and I caught the dude in the mouth with my headstock.
Ow.
And I stopped and looked. The dude jumped in the front row. I mean, the dude jumped into the crowd. And I looked down, and there was fucking teeth on the stage. I could see his like front teeth. At first, I was like, "What the fuck is that?" I was like, "Oh shit!" I had knocked out like maybe 3 of his front teeth.
Ow.
And then I look out in the crowd, and I see the dude like make his way up to the front, start thrashing with like blood dripping out of his mouth and shit. He's like, I'm like, "Oh shit." Afterwards, I kind of ran into him in the hallway when I was putting up some gear, and I was like, "Dude, I apologize, man. I didn't know that." "Oh no, fuck yeah, man, metal." I was like, "Okay, man." He was like missing his 3 teeth in the front.
Oh my
I don't know.
God.
That's not really a Spinal Tap moment.
Well,
that's
but
about
no, I mean,
as,
that's a stage mishap for sure, though. I mean, he whacked his teeth, 3 of his teeth out. Hey, so if you were to say,
yeah. Otherwise,
so if you were to say out of the new album, what's a standout tune that you would say, hey, you guys, you need to go on Spotify or on Amazon Music and check this song out, that kind of is a defining moment, let's say, for this record, that would basically give people a snapshot of what you guys are today?
me personally, Hear the Death Call is one of them, and Iron Grinder is the other one. 2 different entities. Iron
Okay.
Grinder is more of a chugging, headbanging song, that has little elements of everything.
Mm-hmm.
People say they hear some boy bot in there, just
nice.
different kinds of elements on that. And then Hear the Death Call is just the speed. It's just all out, balls out. Just, if you like Dark Angel, I mean, if you like,
Yeah.
Rain and Blood, speed, it's just written beautiful, man. Our guitar player JD just did a phenomenal little job writing that song and putting it together.
Nice.
it just flows, and the speed is like, I mean, it's just an awesome song.
Nice. Hey, it was a good time. Good time chatting with you.